Adventures in Lollygagging. We're back to playing deltagreen tonight, possibly for the last time. Some people on this stream are in denial about this, others are not. But yeah,
I got 10 more sessions.
40% chance tonight's the last session. I think it's possible. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what decision making is gonna, be the thing. But I think we're near the end. How do you feel about that, Steven?
I'm just gonna stall and talk in character for about 5 sessions. As we know, once I start talking, I cannot stop until someone interrupts me.
It's true.
Jeff has a power.
I'm pretty sure that I can.
He can just mute you.
Yeah,
and then
I would feel bad. I would mute everybody else too, except for myself. But
and as you said, someone has to interrupt you, and so I'm great at that.
Ash is on fire.
Why are you on his side?
I had a shit week. I'm feeling spicy. So
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, lots of spice.
Maybe you just back off, man. Plus, she hates deltagreen, and she's been wanting out of this for a while too. She's been sending me messages on the side. She did try to out.
She did try to derail the campaign, session 2 when she stabbed that guy in the back.
Yeah. And when she, opened up some random thing that said not to touch and unleashed some kind of weird demonic creature on your city.
Yeah, Ashley, what the hell was that?
This group, Steven.
Why would you do that, Ashley?
Yeah.
She's the one that keeps getting her characters killed and having to reintroduce new characters and not coming up with all the bonds for those new characters.
Yeah. So what do we think the best or favorite moment of the campaign has been? Is it Steven killing 3,000 innocent people in New York, or is it something else? What do we think?
That feels terrible to have to be a favorite, but it is traumatic and memorable.
Sure. I enjoyed the apartment arc.
The one with
Wilmington?
When he died, when Ronnie died. Yeah, that was pretty fun. It was nice and localized. And you kind of knew where your investigation was.
Hyperluxo was a great intro too.
I like Hyperluxo. Hyperluxo is fun.
I will say I'm pretty confident. Oh, sorry.
All of the times that Ashley cries on stream with her
which is
character.
A lot. Just kind of a lot.
Weaver has been such a good deltagreen, someone getting into deltagreen and someone's personal life just going to shit because of their involvement with deltagreen. That whole process has been very enjoyable to participate with.
Yeah. Thank you for enjoying my tears.
I'm sorry that you have so much pain, but I kind of love watching it.
Yep.
I will say I'm confident that I created the fan favorite character.
Here we go.
Merlin, a dog.
Merlin, exactly.
Sure.
The beagle. Everyone loves Merlin.
It's true. Everyone does love Merlin. It's true. Okay. All right. What about you, Mike? What's your favorite? Is it also watching Ashley cry, or is it something else?
It is watching Ashley cry and
Sorry for stealing that on my turn.
3 sisters at the building.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
I guess I gotta kill Jamie tonight. Is that what I gotta do? I gotta kill your kid?
Or me.
No.
Or
then
Cody.
You can't cry.
No, you gotta
I can kill Cody, but they're
the
strange.
Only real caregiver for Jamie.
I've taken out her mom. I've taken out her aunt, who was basically a mother figure. I've taken out one of her new friends. They've already she's already taken out Cody himself. The two of them split up. Really, all that's left is Jamie. This is sort of It's sort of this was like an HBO show. This would be
dismantling Lisa's life.
Lisa would be the lead. Yeah, this is True
Lisa
Detective.
Not relapsed.
Yeah, I feel like this was True Detective.
Everyone thinks she's relapsed.
Okay.
Which isn't that kind of being an addict and saying you're clean, but you broke the trust already, so no one really believes you anyways.
No one believes you.
Could be.
And it's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Vin
sad.
actually picked up an addiction throughout this, though, and somehow you stayed clean.
Yeah, it's
She's been doing a lot of AA meetings.
We all talked about favorite moments. None of them involved Vin. Isn't that interesting?
No, they all involve Merlin.
It's crazy. Anyhow. Do we all remember what happened last time? Long, what's something you remember? What's something you remember from last time?
We all went our separate ways.
That is a succinct summary.
You woke up
of
at a hospital.
events
4 of you
from
woke
last time.
up at a hospital. Price wasn't there, but the other 4 of you did. And then you all went your separate ways, and the fact that Inferno left. That's basically what happened. Melissa, what's something else you remember from last time?
So I remember SUV rides, and I remember a name, and I can't remember. I can't read the notes after the name.
Killing me.
So that's what has been like desperately bothering me
Steven?
very much.
You want to know why? This is why. Right here. Look at those 2 answers. That's why.
I remember
Nope.
that Agent Carr was
You had a
actively
chance.
involved at the FBI office of trying to work on sort of like the cover story kind of wrap up to Kingman and trying
Sure.
to make sure that that area doesn't get built on.
Sure. Okay. My chair, it's something you remember from last time. Save us, please.
Lighter Hall wasn't Lighter Hall.
Thank
There
you.
was some random woman that showed up and claimed to be Lighter Hall.
That's true.
Except it was like a frizzy-haired white lady and not a stern black lady.
Mhm.
Who and like she checked in on us at the hospital, and she fucked with Vin at the police station.
That's true. Thank you, Maitre, for doing the work. Long, Melissa. All right, next. Steven, what's something you remember last time?
I don't remember last session, and I don't remember that Vin got beat up by an old lady because that didn't happen.
That is my favorite
Oh man.
thing that's
That
happened this
was-
entire
that was
campaign.
Definitely
Today,
upset.
70
my favorite moment to
70
be that
pound.
one.
80-year-old woman beat up Price. That was my favorite thing.
I'm gonna change
So
my
favorite moments-
please.
Do
Stabbed
involve
him.
Vin now.
In the hand. And then he punched her in the jaw. So ridiculous.
trying not
My
to
favorite
kill her.
part was when the cops got there and they're like, dude, you hit an old lady.
She's like 80. What are you doing?
You had to be there to
FBI
understand.
agent.
It
Okay.
made sense in the moment.
It really did. No, it did. It did. Yeah, you woke up. You woke up in her bed, and you found a dead body in a trunk in a closet. And then you ended up calling the cops and getting the sheriffs out and all that kind of stuff. And they all got sorted out, and you were okay, etc. But it was a weird little time. That hour or two when you were wandering around getting your ass kicked by an 80-year-old woman who weighed 70 pounds. We'll always have that, Steven. Ashley, what's something you remember
Dice
from
were
last time?
so bad.
We left off and we all kind of woke up in the SUV and we were driving. We think
Do you remember you
maybe,
fell
we're
as-
not
remember
sure.
fell asleep?
We're just
Huh?
in the SUV and we approached a mission style church and it has this big bell that's ringing and it just all feels very
It's true.
ominous and
Excellent.
strange.
Excellent job. A couple other things. It's been some time, by the way, as you all did have some downtime, some personal pursuits, we call them in Delta Green. And so some of you did some training, some of you kind of engaged with some of your bonds, etc. So we did a little bit of that. And so some time has passed. A couple of months have passed, in fact. At least we saw like various montages of a few of you. Like I think Chopra was recovering from her busted leg and then also training a little bit here and there. I think Carr, weren't you doing some training as well? Weren't you going, or did you? And you visited your mother, I think, at one point. Inferno.
I did.
Yeah.
I improved my firearms.
You improve your firearms. I know Inferno. I remember you failed something in your personal pursuit. Do you remember what you were trying to do?
Yeah, I was trying to get some sand back somehow, and then that like extracted the bond a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it was your
started
family.
The occult.
Good minute. Oh, you know what it was? It was that little green dodecahedron that we've seen popping up every
Dodecahedron.
now and then. And you now have a new disorder. You're obsessed with this thing. It's your new disorder. And you realize that the measurements of it don't make any sense mathematically. It just doesn't add up. It just it's not clear in any respect. If you could get somebody who is an expert, maybe, on such imaging, with imaging software, something like that, maybe they could help you. Okay. Well, Ashley's not wrong. And so we're going to pick up. You all had, you all are driving. You were driving down this long desert road. It's not Kingman. All of you don't really have any you don't really remember like going to sleep one night and just waking up here. It was just sort of this weird transition where all of you just kind of started. We just cut into these moments, and we looked out. We see all of you in different spots in this very large SUV. We see Inferno and Weaver up front. We see Price in the back seat. We see Carr and Chopra in like the third row. And we pull up to a T intersection. Inferno, the car just kind of seems to sort of want to slow down to a stop. And as it does so, as it's kind of in the process of easing down, and we've got the church here on the left, we hear the sounds of the door behind Inferno opening up. And when we look over, we see the face and the body and the clothes, and hear the voice of Declan G.W. Ellis with his signature turtleneck, his coat. He gets out. He says, "This is it," before the car even comes to a stop. And he starts kind of climbing up the steps and the hill in the direction of this church. He says, "This is it." And that is that. So we're going to pick up right there. You guys, again, no real conception of how long it's been. You haven't seen each other for a while. You haven't been on an operation in quite some time. So the fact that you're like here, just sort of appearing together, is you don't really have any memory of activation. I don't really remember a debriefing with a handler or anything of that sort. You just sort of looked up, and there you were driving the car, Inferno. There you were, Weaver and Price, looking out the passenger side windows. There you were, Carr and Chopra in the back of this big SUV. And so you get up, or excuse me, you kind of you slow the SUV down a bit. You look up and you see Declan getting out. What do you all do?
We're here, guys.
Declan was in the car?
Yeah, he's gone ahead of us.
Declan.
He was dead. What? And
Yeah, no,
at this point, Weaver's scrambling out of the car. After
Chopra
him.
looks at Car. Do you know who Declan is?
Yeah, he's
I
an
do not.
agent.
I imagine Vin was riding shotgun. He gets out of the car and sets Merlin back on the seat.
He's not actually riding shotgun. Vin is in this back row. He's in the middle row he was sitting right next to Declan. Merlin.
Okay, well, either
however,
way, he was holding Merlin, which he sets down on the seat.
Merlin is not in the SUV.
We're yes-anding here, Jeff.
We're
We're
really
yes-anding.
not in this case.
So Vin would get out of the car. He wouldn't be too concerned with Declan because, he knew he was off the case, but that doesn't mean you're never out of Delta Green of the program. And he would start going towards the church then.
Okay. What about the rest of you?
Step out, catch up with him.
Okay. What about everybody else?
I think Carr would be looking to Weaver a bit for a little bit of explanation here.
She's not here. She already ran out after him.
Okay. And she'll just, Carr will turn back to Chopra. This appears to be someone that they worked with previously, but I do not know this individual.
And she'll nod and kind of get out of the car and beckon for Car to join her, and look around and why don't I remember us starting a new operation?
I don't either. I agree. We're just here.
We ended a few months ago. It's been a few months since I've seen you, right?
I certainly thought so. And she's kind of we're kind of walking up toward the church as we're kind of having this conversation.
All right.
And
Okay.
Just this confused conversation.
Exactly.
Okay. Weaver and Price probably got out there first. Inferno shortly thereafter. He was driving, probably had to put it in park and everything. And then we'll say Chopra and Carr come up last. Weaver, Price, two of you get out. Weaver, you said you were running after Declan.
Mm-hmm.
As you race around the SUV, you notice that you don't see him anywhere. You popped out 5 seconds after he did, and you see a little disturbance in the dirt and the dust of the of the walk up that goes towards this church, but otherwise you don't see him. Neither do you, Price, or you, Inferno, as you step out, or Carr or Chopra as you get out, kind of engaging with each other. You can see again, looking around, the church it's an old mission-style church. You can tell that there are some shuttered windows just from the distance. There's a small bell tower in the rear. And you vaguely remember the sounds of bells. That sounds familiar to some of you. You can see these heavy front doors up this walkway that goes towards the front of the church. And you can see that either side is covered by a window that's been shuttered. And you also notice that there's like a small path that kind of walks around the back and the sides of the building as well. Looking around, you can tell that there is nothing, as far as you can tell, for probably a couple miles at least. You don't see any signs of other buildings, neighboring buildings. You see a T intersection, but as you look down each direction of the road, doesn't really seem to go anywhere, and you don't see any traffic. What do you all do?
Vin, where the fuck are we?
Southwest.
And Weaver's gonna. Are there any street signs?
No. You don't see anything. You don't even see a stop sign. You don't see a street light. Just an intersection.
Carr wants to look at the vehicles. Like, were there license plates on the vehicles?
What vehicles?
The ones we just got out of.
There's only a single vehicle, yours.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, the SUV.
Yeah. Walk around to it. VINDEC.
So it's not a state license plate?
Looks to be government.
Okay. So not helpful. Okay. VINDC. Okay. We're going to get answers up at the church then. So just walking.
Okay. Well, you went back to look at the things. Inferno, have you been doing anything? Or Weaver or Chopra?
Taking a look at the church building, see if the bell's still ringing.
You look up, you don't see it. You're pretty sure it's not an exterior route up. It's probably the route up, but it's not sounding anymore. And while you can see kind of the open window area where the bell hangs, you can't see anyone up there currently, and it doesn't look like the bell is moving. And again, it's in the back. It's so like you can see as you're looking at it, it's the back edge of the church that seems to go up a little bit higher to the tower.
Is there any signage or anything additional on the church?
No, you don't see anything. You don't see any you don't see any like sign out front. You don't see anything that resembles like iconography or anything of that matter. It's just like this sort of dirt and gravel parking area where there are no cars. Yours is, unless you tell me otherwise, is parked alongside the road. And you don't even see like a mailbox or anything like that.
And does the building look abandoned, or does it look like it's maintained, like there's people here?
It looks pretty beat up. You can tell that the walls themselves, they're adobe walls, style of walls. You can tell that they've taken some weathering a bit here and there. You can see that here and there some of the exterior of the wall or the roof has kind of crumbled. There's some exposed oak, some beams here and there, but it's intact. But it's definitely older, and it's probably suffered some erosion over time. You question the upkeep.
It's the only building for miles we're going in.
Yeah.
To it the whole time, yeah.
Okay. Price, you've been waiting at the front doors. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Have you been doing anything up here while you're waiting for everybody, or do you just go right ahead?
I would get to the front door, and if there's like no sign on it, which you said there isn't, like I would put my hand on the door and kind of look around, and when people start heading towards the door, that's when I would open and go in.
Okay. You go inside. It's very dark. Does everybody follow Price?
Yeah. Chopper does.
Okay. Everybody follows, and it's very dark in here. Can barely see much of anything. The door behind you does that kind of classic thump, just kind of closes, and you just feel this like thud. And then all of a sudden, the entire church is bathed in this light that just seems to emit or come from everywhere, from the ceiling, from the walls, wherever it might be from. And you see that the inside looks like a cathedral, as opposed to kind of like this rundown old barn, like it might have looked like on the outside. You see these huge 2-story glass windows that are adorning the side and the rear walls. Beautifully ornate designs. You see all these different mythical female triads, all of them kind of glistening in the light. You can see that there are various sections of pews that are extending nearly and inexplicably about 100 yards ahead of you to the pulpit. And there's a dais at the back of the church. The pews themselves are sparsely occupied, but you do notice that there are some people. There appear to be several children sitting near the front, and then there's a few adults behind them. And then at the far side of the church itself, you can see a figure standing in a priest cassock. And as you're looking, you realize again you're about 100 yards away. It's enormous, this cathedral, and long brown hair tied as they turn, and a ponytail, and you realize it's a woman, and you can tell that she's just sort of clearing her throat and starting up a sermon and like shuffling some notes and such. What do you all do? You should come inside.
I'll head to the open pews and have a seat.
Yeah, Chopper does the same and just sort of like tugs at the sleeve of whoever is next to her to join in the pews.
Okay. Do you just sit next to Inferno, or do you go up towards the front? Like, well, let me put it this way.
I go up towards the front, like whatever is the closest open pew to her.
Okay. The closest to like the dais. Okay. So you go all the way up, but you don't join a row where there's other people. Like you sit off by yourself. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Inferno, what about you? Where do you have a preference for where you sit?
Yeah, near the back.
Okay, so you just sit down near the back. Chopper, you push up a little further. Carr, Price, Weaver. What are the three of you doing?
Weaver's looking to see if Declan is among the people sitting.
Okay. Give me a search test. You're pretty far away, so I'm going to require a roll. If you decide to approach, you could possibly just get it easily, but
Crit failure.
Okay.
She would have
99.
approached, though. She would have been walking near the side.
Okay. You start moving closer and closer, and at some point along the way, as you're like trying to get a view of people, their backs of their heads are to you. So the only person whose face you could really see is the woman on the dais. So you're kind of struggling here and there, and maybe we'll say the crit fail is you stumbling into some kind of brazier or something like that just causes something to get tumbled over here or there. You see a painting fall and clatter, and then everybody in the pews, their heads just turn and they look at you. And Weaver, you see very familiar faces, in fact. You see sitting amongst the pews. The first one that you notice is your mother. She is sitting in a row, the second row, with two very familiar faces. You think they have on some kind of like windbreaker, and they're drenched, it looks like, in water. There is a man who has a DEA windbreaker. You see a woman in what appears to be some kind of scrubs, like a nurse or a doctor. And you see another woman, a little bit older, a little bit skin worn, like weather worn, kind of tied back hair and a U.S. Navy shirt. You see in the front row, there are these kids who like are right now kind of climbing over the backs as they turn to look, and they're giggling. And there's three of them. And you recognize them from Brooklyn, from the files that you were given. Three missing children: Catherine Strack, Franklin Elders, and Sandra Cohen. You see sitting next to them a disheveled man in his 50s or so with kind of wild hair and even wilder eyes who looks at you, Dr. Horowitz from Silo. You see right behind him in the second row is, as the head turns to look at you, you can see it's dripping blood kind of down the backside of the neck. And then you see the face of Lila Starrett. And you can see also turning, and sort of right next to her is the burnt, charred remains of what appears to be Kurt Winters. And the row behind that, you can see a few folks that you remember from images when you went up to Kingman. Jeremy Benton, Nick Karras, Michael Thompson, each with kind of a confused look, and sitting amongst them, and sort of sand dripping down from her curly hair, you see your Aunt Vivian. You also notice that in the process of you knocking this stuff over, these monks in these robes begin to kind of file out from the sides, and two of them are like kind of, bumped past you. And as they do, like, you catch sight of one, and you see the contours, the profile of Agent Isha Ray. The second one kind of leans down to help kind of pull up what is now a broken painting that you've knocked over. You see Agent Sandy Kulak. And then you see, trying to steady this brazier that's swinging back and forth, is Agent Maggie Eberly. You notice that kind of on the far side of the other side of the pews, there's another assemblage of people now at Weaver, all of whom look very familiar. You see Enrique Navarro, you see Ann Delaney, you see Ronnie Lightside, and at long last you see Declan G.W. Ellis. However, I need you first to roll a sand test at the sight of all of these familiar faces.
Oh
my
boy.
How are we doing? This is where she's cheating. She's adding extra numbers.
No. 97 failure.
Okay. You are going to take
Two rolls, 99 and 97.
5 points of
Off to a
sanity
shit
loss.
Yeah.
5 points of sanity loss.
Holy shit.
As
I
you
need
see,
to try and push this off.
go right ahead. Who would you push this off onto? And go
I
ahead
would
and spend
be pushing this off on Millie Dobbs, her best friend.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your
3.
D4 for willpower. Okay. So
I have
spend 3
7
willpower. And then,
Okay, still bad news bears.
Okay.
This, even the 1 willpower I'm taking takes me down to 35, and I've reached my breaking point.
okay. Nothing's going to happen right this moment, but remember that for later.
Okay.
So you take the sanity loss, but don't worry about that. Everybody else, this has been such a massive commotion that it has interrupted the sermon for a moment, and all of you can see familiar faces. Some of you see more familiars than others. Obviously, Inferno, you see some faces going as far back as Hypoluxo. You see your old partner who died in Hypoluxo. You see what looks to be the children that you all were searching for up in Brooklyn. So I need Inferno to also roll a sanity test. I need Price to roll a sanity test as you see what appears to be Maggie Eberly. You met her, and then she was immediately lost upon you coming on to the team. You see Sandy Kulak, who you unfortunately, and Isha Ray, someone you've known longer than the rest of the team that you've been working on, someone who has gone back. And then, Price, as you're looking to the other side of the room, as you see these monks are flanking around the dais, your eyes lock in, and you see Ronnie Lightside, your old friend. Chopra and Carr, while you don't have the personal connection to a lot of these people, you do recognize the people from Operation, Windblown. So I would need a sand from you, but it's a different level of sand loss if you were to fail.
52 fail.
52 fail. All right. Well,
34 fail.
2 for Inferno. That was a bad roll for me. Price. 2 for Price.
I'll attempt to push off Tobond.
Okay. And your family again?
Yeah. Just one.
Inferno's only got 2 left.
Okay. All right. 1. So you take 1 as you roll a d4 and then reduce your willpower by 1. Price, are you taking it or are you pushing it off?
Did our breaking point reset?
Your breaking point only resets
if you hit a breaking point,
when you
get
hit
a
a
new
breaking point.
I thought I did, but no, I didn't. So I have to push, otherwise I break right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So roll a d4. The good news is all of your willpower and health, all of that stuff should regenerate. We're months in the future from Kingdom.
Yeah.
All of Cthulhu has the daily sand.
Yeah, that's a Cthulhu thing. That's not for us. All right, Vin, who are you pushing yours off onto?
It's going to be Chris again, my son.
I think that tracks. Okay.
And that takes half my willpower.
All right. Carr, what about you? How'd you do on your roll?
I succeeded 32 under 43.
Just 1 for you then.
Okay.
You going to take that or you want to push that off?
I will take that. I just reset a breaking point, so I think it's definitely distressing to see the kids that from that.
Carr wouldn't know about the kids because Carr was not in the mission. Oh, the kids, like the teenagers. I'm sorry.
The teenagers.
I thought you meant the children from Brooklyn.
Yeah, sorry, the Kingman students, I should say.
Gotcha.
And she was perhaps a little bit distracted because she was in the back. She came in last, and she was kind of looking around. Kind of as we came in, kind of if there's a little vestibule area, she was kind of looking for if there was like a pamphlet for today's mass with, kind of anything like that. So that's kind of where she was like, okay, so now the lights are on. So now let's see if we can get our bearings, see a name of this cathedral or anything like that.
We'll get to that in a moment. Chopra, how did you do on your sand?
Success.
Success, 1 point as well for Chopra. Minimum loss. Did Chopra take that, or did she push that?
No, I'll take that.
Okay. So, resetting for a moment so we can understand this. Weaver, as you're trying to weave around the western side, let's say, of the pews, you stumble, you bump into something, and you cause a racket that forces all of these faces, these so many familiar faces, turn and look. Pauses the speaker for a moment. These monks flank out, and then you see your mother. You see Aunt Vivian. You see people you've worked with. You see people you failed to save. What is going through Weaver's mind? We're going to start with you, and then I want to kind of cycle around. What's going through Weaver's mind? How's she reacting to this?
What's happening? Mom?
Shh. You start to speak, and next to you, one of the monks, Isha Ray, that you would recognize as Isha Ray, kind of turns towards you, puts her finger to her lips, and shushes you. Not rudely, kind of politely. Shh. Welcome to the fold. Everyone here is at peace. They have returned to the bosom of their mothers. And then she turns away from you at that point, as if she's going to walk away.
And she whispered, Isha, Ray? Agent Ray.
She doesn't seem to react to you. Just she's like kind of slowly and very solemnly walking up the side of the pews. She's only a couple steps from you, and she's walking very slowly and calmly. She's at the last. She's like the last of that group of three that had like Maggie in it, and then had I think it was Sandy. I said the three of them slowly moving up in this sort of reverent line, and she's the last, and she just pulls away from you.
Where do they want? Do they go to a pew to sit down, or
they just seem to kind of go to flank to either side of the dais, out of sight, out like kind of in this sort of recessed area. You can tell that like they're kind of, like Carr was mentioning, like a vestibule area, but they're in vision, but they're trying not to be centered, essentially.
And she, like, you can see her, and she's looking at everyone who's sitting here, and then she's looking at you guys, and then she just kind of rushes to her mom, and just, she doesn't sit down, she kind of just kneels next to her and holds her hands.
Okay. And you rush up, and you get some odd looks at people, and like they do the sliding, and then there's a lot of as you are making a decent amount of noise in the process, but you kind of get down next to your mother. You put your hand on her hand, and she just looks down at you, and her face is impassive. You don't really get anything too much recognition, it seems, from her as she looks down at you. While this is happening, Inferno, you had sat down in the back, but then you see this array of people that are familiar to you, including your old partner from your Miami days. What was Inferno thinking or doing in this moment?
I'll go up to my old partner. What the hell are you doing here? You should be dead. I'd be grabbing her shoulder to see if she's real.
Yeah, and you reach out, you grab her shoulder, and she turns to look, and she's just...
No, shush you. What are you...
And then you watch as she vanishes right as your hand rests against her, and she disappears.
A bit stun-locked.
Okay.
Don't know what to do.
Chopra, I'm going to come to you as you had moved up, and you see Weaver rush over. You see Inferno rush up, and now someone just literally dematerialized in front of him. Chopra, how do you react to all of this?
I think there's sort of an involuntary gasp, and because this is how I'm thinking of the one Sand lost as well. When she sees these people who she fucking knows are dead, and she cannot remember what operation they've started, why they are here. She can't remember any of those details, and she's realizing we might be back there. We might be back in the old operation, like what, because we just showed up in places in during that time, and so she's kind of internally panicking a little, but the outward manifestation, I think, is just an involuntary gasp that she realizes that.
Okay. Just the gas happens, you scan, you see the faces from the operation Windblown. A few are sitting in the pews. One, Anne Delaney, is wearing a monk robe and standing next to these other figures, faces that you as Chopra wouldn't recognize, but the player you would recognize. Ronnie and some other folks. Okay. Then Price, what about you? Because you also see like Maggie Eberly, Ronnie himself. Like, what do you do?
Ronnie is more towards the front.
Yeah, he is kind of off. So as you guys came in, I'm going to say Weaver went off to the left. Inferno and Chopra like went right down the middle and each found a row, and then Inferno ran up a little bit further, and then we'll say Carr and you maybe lingered a little bit more towards the right, in the back, Car looking for something, looking for some semblance of what this is about. So Price will say that's probably where the two of you would have been.
If I saw Ronnie, then I would move towards the middle aisle and walk down to Ronnie's pew. And like a lapsed Catholic, I would kneel down and cross and then enter the pew and sit next to Ronnie. And as I go to sit, I would like resituate my coat and my shirt to straighten it out. And then I sit down and you would see that I've got my pistol just out on my lap. Not like threatening or anything, but just holding it loosely.
Okay. So I'm gonna say you sit like in the pew next to where he's standing, because he's one of these monk robe wearing figures who are standing. So we'll say you're in the pew right underneath, so you can look up and you can see him, and he is giving his attention to the figure that's on the dais. Do you say anything to him as you approach? He doesn't react to your appearance.
I think Vin would just watch him, and seeing that there's no reaction, look back towards the priest.
Okay.
Priestess.
Okay. She is, like, you look at her face, middle-aged, it seems like, from what you can tell. There's really nothing about her that suggests you've seen her before. But the one thing that kind of catches your attention is she has just dazzling, beautiful green eyes. And as if like you just looking at her and everyone's starting to quiet, you can see she kind of clears her throat, getting ready to restart the sermon. Car in the back, you've been looking around, you said. You notice these people, you notice these faces. Has that changed your intentions, or are you still on the lookout for some sort of pamphlet or material?
She's very disconcerted about the fact that she doesn't remember being here. And so she's still trying to like ground herself in where the hell am I? So she's noticed, but she's setting that aside for a moment, still trying to figure out, like, I need to figure out this building and where is this? What is this?
You look around for any signs of like a table with pamphlets or a bulletin board or anything like that. You don't see anything of the sort. You do see a kind of a small sign set up, topic of today's service, and you can see these like replaceable
the letters. Yeah.
And it says the sanctity of motherhood, and that seems to be the topic of the service. And right on cue, right as you're reading that, you hear that clearing of the throat as like the woman restarts after the disruption, and she says, all of you can hear it, I speak of Eve, the mother. Despite the lies of the false shepherds and charlatans, sin was not born of the mother Eve, but of her son, Cain, who murdered his brother Abel. And sin was wielded against Lilith, Adam's first wife, who was spurned by Adam, and his God turned out to the wastes beyond Eden, where she spawned her own children. You can see like there's people in the pew sort of kind of nodding and listening. When she holds a hand up, children the angels slew. And then there's like all these like heads that just bow a little bit. And much later, Mary bore the child Jesus, whose sacrifice saved all of humankind. Mothers all! She like suddenly cries and like kind of echoes throughout the pews. Motherhood is the most sacred and profane of all of God's gifts. There are some who would spurn this gift, and you can see people in the pews just like shaking their heads. Like Price, you can even see Ronnie react a little bit. God, it is they whom God punishes most harshly. The woman who slays her own children is not only mad, she is an abomination to her God and to her gift. Such a woman may drown her children as did Lady Monteclaro. Forever will they rue their blasphemy. They will walk the earth until its end. They will walk in its loneliest places. And they shall never rest. And you can see everyone just nods in the pews. And their crimes shall serve as lessons to others. And you can see like people are nodding along with it. And then she kind of holds up a hand as there's a little bit of a murmur. But there are other mothers too. Clytemnestra, wife of Agamemnon, mother of Orestes. Orestes who murdered his mother and was pursued by the Furies. And suddenly her voice just changes a little bit. For the murder of a mother by her child is the most vile crime imaginable. And it's at that shift that all of you just kind of feel this tug somewhere inside. Like you just sort of feel like your breath had stopped. You didn't even notice that you had stopped breathing. And then there are the mothers of us all. And she can see that she's just like looking up and gesturing here and there to these beautiful stained windows. The sorrows, they are not to be feared. For it is their duty to guide us on our journey between the gates of life and death. They will be there at our first breath. They will be there at our last. And they are here in between to inspire, to move us to greater things, and to mourn us and our failures. It is only through them that our existence knows completion. And she just kind of like bows at that point. You can hear there's like people who are kind of confirming. It's like she takes a moment and kind of shuffles some papers and things. What is everybody doing? As you hear all of this, as you feel in your chest like this sudden catch, as if like something looked at you. Like there's this weird feeling, like something just saw you. Even though you're not stealthing. It's that feeling when you're trying to do something without being noticed. And that strange feeling that something or someone somewhere is watching you. What do you do?
I'd immediately get up from my seat and step to the side aisle, scan the room, see if anyone's staring at me, check the surroundings, something's changed.
You don't notice anyone staring at you necessarily, but I'll say you notice two things. Your alertness is very high, so no roll necessary. You notice there is a door to the side of the dais that goes to the rear of the church. Judging from your understanding, even though the inside of this is far bigger than it should be, you think, judging from your understanding, that might take you like to either back offices or maybe the tower up to the bell. You're not entirely sure. But you notice, though, that Declan is extraordinarily anxious and shifting, and he's like kind of whispering to some of these monks who are holding their hands up and telling him to quiet. And he's like saying something, and then finally you hear him just kind of burst out, "I'm not supposed to be here!" And he just screams it, and everyone just looks up. And then right as he does that, you see him vanish in front of you.
Wait, I'm like him. I'm not supposed to be here either.
And you hear a voice next to you, and it's just shh. You look over, and you can see that it is one of your old deltagreen agents has kind of shuffled over towards you. You see his agent Maggie Eberly from Brooklyn. Blonde hair kind of hidden underneath it. You can see she's got these dark rings under her eyes, a little bit paler than you remember her to be. But she just whispers and she says, "Do not worry. Welcome to the fold. You, just like we, are now at peace, having returned to the bosoms of our mothers." And then she puts her finger to her lips once more and just kind of turns away from you again and starts to walk back, and like kind of just starts to walk away from you as if like that was the entirety of the conversation.
Oh my God, Aggie. Couldn't save you. No. I gotta get out. And I'll start heading toward the dais door.
Okay. Like the side door that goes to the back?
Yeah.
Okay. And so most of you, unless you think your character is too distracted at this moment, everyone heard the outburst suddenly from Declan, looked over, saw the vanishing. And you see Inferno kind of panic and race down. No one stops him. You don't see anyone preventing him from going anywhere. No one really has tried to prevent any of you from going anywhere whatsoever. But you see Inferno racing down the side hall away from the dais. Even the priestess that is up on top of the dais kind of turns and watches as he passes by, but says nothing. But the rest of you, what are you doing?
I would turn towards Ronnie.
Okay.
What's going on? I think this is the first time I've seen you without a book in your hand.
And he just looks down at you and looks you right in the eyes. And for a moment, it's like he's looking at you. You know, it's like this is Ronnie. And he says, "Just doing my penance." And then he kind of turns back and looks up towards the dais.
Is it going to be my turn to do penance soon?
And he looks down at you, and you see him just kind of nod his head solemnly. And then he puts his finger up to his lips. And he starts to shuffle away.
I would look down, look at the gun, and kind of tighten my grip, and then loosen up again. And then look back up, waiting for the next sermon or whatever.
Okay. Weaver, last we saw of you, you had put your hand on your mother's, like over top of your hand. She never really reacted. Kind of looked at you somewhat impassively. You can't quite tell if there's recognition, but she didn't recoil at the same time. She seems distant. But both of you quickly turn your heads. You see the outburst from Declan, the disappearance, and then she doesn't seem to be bothered by it in the least. But you see your old friend Declan just vanish in front of you. What do you do, Weaver? What's going on with you?
Mama, please. What's happening?
And she looks down at you and she just says, "Don't interrupt the service." And then you can see she very dutifully looks back up at the dais at that point. And she slowly starts to pull her hand out from under yours to just sort of free it.
And her recoiling from her like that kind of, it definitely hurts Lisa. And she kind of takes a watery, kind of breathy, deep breath, and she'll stand and she'll go and sit a few pews back. And as she gets that feeling that everyone had of feeling like we were seen by something, she's gonna intensely stare at the priestess to see if she recognizes anything, like Elizabeth Salmon or Lyda Hall, like, because Lyda also felt familiar.
No, that's true, but it is definitely not, especially not Lyda Hall. You can tell this woman is Caucasian, middle-aged, long brown hair tied back, and there's nothing really about her face that you can say you've seen this before, and her eyes are so bright and green and vivid that there's no way you would have forgotten eyes like that. So it does not look like anyone that's familiar to you.
Then I think at this point, Weaver's kind of more distracted by the dejection of her mom kind of pulling away from her, that she is going to kind of fall back into her old habits of listening to what her mother said, and it was do not disrupt the service, and she's just going to kind of sit there and listen.
Okay. Carr or Chopra, both of you, again, the disturbance caught everyone's attention, and then I would say you all are alert enough that you could have seen Inferno kind of panic a little bit, and you see him race down this sort of hallway to the side of the dais. You see the woman, the priestess, turns briefly towards him, smiles, doesn't seem to want to interfere at all, and he just continues to go. What are you doing? Start with Chopra. Chopra, what are you up to?
Chopra is the only thing she is able to really hold on to is that they're still on the operation. This is still the mission. They're still on the operation. This is still the mission. So she's just gonna sing that to herself over and over and over again in her head. And she walks up to the priestess with a resolve that she doesn't really feel, but she's going to ask her, is like, what is this place? Everybody, half people here, more than half people here are dead.
She looks down towards you and she says, well, this is a sanctuary, my child. Please, sit.
I was
Join us.
sitting.
Well, in return, I mean you no distress.
What? Why am I here? Why are we here?
And you can see she smiles and she's like, you're here because they willed you to be here.
Who's they?
You can see her eyes, her beautiful green eyes, just start looking up at these various glorious stained glass windows. And then she looks back at you.
Chopra follows her gaze to the window. They're just groups of Thruvian.
Okay. So the ones that she looks at are the right and the left, basically. And there's one behind her, but she doesn't turn all the way around to look at that one. But you see on one, we'll call it the left side of the church facing the dais, there are several sets of figures. You can see that 3 are winged and feral, female. They're armed with whips and torches, and they're pursuing a young man. And you can see a second set that shows 3 women with serpents in their hair, one holding a severed head. And then another one, you can see these are all, again, groups like these triumvirates. And you can see there's a crossroads, and there's a figure with her back to the viewer. Her hair is a tangle of serpents and oak leaves. And you can see that she's 3 dogs on a leash beside her. And then as she looks over to the right side, and you follow the gaze, you can see 3 female figures engaged in a spinning of a silver thread. One appears to be the youngest, spins the fibers. The second, which is the mature, like middle-aged, you can see that they're weaving these fibers into a thread. And then the third, which is this hideous old crone, is preparing to cut that thread with a pair of shears. Now, Chopra, if you have occult or history, you can roll that
Yeah.
as you're looking at them.
I have a 20 in occult. I have a 10 in history, so I will roll my occult. But
Okay.
may I have an audience dice mouth to make it 30?
Tell her no.
Got it.
Thank you.
You have a generous audience.
That's a failure with an 83.
Yeah, Chopra probably didn't go to her history classes as often as some of her others, maybe.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
too bad because, yeah, my turn's very
Yeah.
excited.
A few of them looks at like the severed head, the serpents in the hair reminds you of Medusa and things like that.
Sure,
But
sure.
the specifics of which
Maybe
are probably.
she was watched the Hercules cartoons, so she knows the fates.
So that's what you see as you look over. You know they're mythical in some way, but the specifics
Yeah.
are kind of hard for you to discern. But she kind of looks to you and she gestures to a seat, very friendly, smile on her face, and she like gestures down to a seat in the pews. Join us.
Something doesn't feel right. I don't
She
feel
just-
like I'm supposed to be here.
And she can see her forehead kind of crinkles. Why is that, child?
I can't even remember how we got here.
I see. You seem in a great deal of distress.
'Cause I
can
don't
see
like
that.
not knowing.
Well, life is not knowing. There are many things that transpire in our world that are without explanation. We can choose to distress ourselves over not knowing, or we can accept that there are magical things, unnatural things that are beyond us. And we accept that there are those who look out for us.
This is supposed to be a good thing. This is a protective thing. What is happening now?
She like holds her hands up. Does anyone here look to be in distress? Are any of you afeared or anxious? And you can see all of them just kind of shake their heads and like, no, no, no. You see? They are all here, safe in the bosom of their mothers.
Okay. And she'll kind of like shake her head and then frustratedly go and sit down.
Okay.
Chipper believes in things that are tangible, and this is entirely too esoteric.
Sure. Car, how do you think you're reacting at this point?
I would say that Carr is focusing on Anne because that
Okay.
was sort of what hit her breaking point, what gave her kind of her disorder.
Mhm.
And so seeing Anne here is probably the thing that will get her attention the most, sort of among the celebrants, sort of at the service.
Okay. She stands with other monks, to use a to use a relatively appropriate term. They're wearing monk's robes. And she seems to be unperturbed by the goings-on. Do you approach her, or do you just watch her?
Yes. Car would approach her.
Okay.
Because the last time she saw Anne, she withered.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's definitely like looking intently at her, whatever is visible sort of under these robes.
Okay. So you don't see under the robes, but when you come, like, her robes are thick and all covering. But when you come up, she looks to you, she smiles, and she just, again, welcomes you into the fold that you've heard others have said. And then, like, just says, "Be at peace as I am at peace." And then she turns and tries to, like, shuffle away from you.
No, I saw you. And she's looking at her face, which clearly is not weathered at this particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
This is, I did not go as you did. You made a choice. I did not. How are we both here?
And, like, she'll pause for a moment before fully going away from you, and she'll just say, "There are many paths, many routes, many roads that lead here. Be at peace."
I didn't choose. You chose. I watched you choose. I didn't choose.
You can see that she holds up her hand and she says, "But you did." And then she starts to walk away from you.
Who was standing next to her? Like, was she next to Jeremy or
No, Jeremy is not standing up amongst the monks. He is sitting in the pews. So just to clarify, the people that you see with sort of dressed in these monk robes, you see Ronnie, you see Enrique Navarro, you see Anne Delaney, you see Isha, Sandy Culloch, Maggie Eberly, and Declan G.W. Ellis. You don't see him anymore. Everybody else I've mentioned has been sitting in the pews. So, like, Weaver's mom and aunt and the kids from Brooklyn, Jeremy Benton and Alex and such from Kingman.
So, if it's okay for kind of my scene to continue, she would next go to Jeremy.
Okay. Like, he's sitting down, and sure, he's sitting amongst the others, so there's really nowhere to sit next to him, but you can stand, and he kind of veers his head and tries to look around. The whole time, I should say that whenever she's not being interrupted, she's continuing to talk in similar terms and similar subject matter, talking about motherhood, talking about sin, talking about the protective nature of mothers, the crimes, giving you specific examples from history and myth and religion. Any of you who might have backgrounds in those things might recognize some of it. But yeah, you're standing in front of Benton, who Jeremy just doesn't really pay attention to you.
And she's sort of leaning. You were in the hospital, and then you disappeared. Did you choose to come here?
And he looks up at you, and he sort of nods a little bit here and there, and he just says, "Welcome." And he doesn't really answer the question as you pose it, doesn't accept it, and he just says, "Welcome. Have a seat. Listen. Be at peace."
How can you be at? Your mother is not here. Your mother is looking for you.
he kind of crinkles his forehead and shakes it. But when he shakes it, it's less about like him disagreeing with you, and it's more like he feels sort of pity for you. Your human would probably pick up on that.
Yeah, my 80 human.
Mm-hmm.
And she would kind of bristle at that a bit, like, don't just dismiss me. What do you know that I don't?
And he looks up at you, and there's like a little pleading to him. Please, sit. I'm trying to listen.
Is this gonna be over? Is there more than?
So you're getting a lot of like
talking.
You're getting a lot of shh and quiet and people like looking at you. Like, do you continue to talk? Do you continue to like just babble in front of him, or do you do anything else? Because if you're just talking, you can see everyone's just at this point just kind of quieting you. Like you can see other people around him are kind of chiming in now at this point, like just quiet.
She's getting frustrated because she's a seeker of answers, and she's not getting any. She
Asking
wants
the wrong questions, maybe.
Very likely.
Looking in the wrong places.
She wants to, because we've sort of, everything's been kind of on this side. So kind of the entrance and the pews. And then so I'm imagining in my head sort of a church. There's sort of the kind of behind. So, kind of you have, sort of the pulpit or the dais, and then there's other things to the back side.
So the only thing you see behind is there was the path, and like, as I've already described, like Inferno has raced off behind there. Like he followed the one path out of this room that goes into the back of the church. So you've already seen him do that. And at this point, it's been a few minutes since he's been gone, since you've been going from person to person.
I would say that Carr would get frustrated at this point, and she would go after Inferno.
Okay, fair enough. Before I shift over to Inferno, do I need to, I know Chopper, you had sat down. Price or Weaver, was there anything in addition that you wanted to do before I cut to a different room?
Weaver would just be looking at like the glass stained windows as she's listening to see if she recognizes anything. Right.
So I showed the right and the left already. I described those to Chopper. You would also be able to see the back window pretty clearly from where you're sitting. You can see Maiden, Mother, Crone. All of them are dressed in these gray, shapeless robes, and they all seem to kind of combined figures in sort of a way, right? Like you can see they just sort of all merge together in some ways. On the left and facing left, so there's a smiling blonde maiden that holds a human infant in her arms. In the center, facing forward, you can see the mother holds a small luminescent human form in her open palms, and a teardrop of blood is flowing from her left eye. And then on the right, facing right, you can see a scowling, gray-haired crone holds a human skull in her withered hands. And you can see below them a scroll-like roll of parchment. It's stained glass, but it's in the shape of a scroll. Reads, Domine Dolor... God, let me try it again. Domine Dolorese Nostre.
And we came across that previously, right? Or no?
I don't remember that, but if you correct me, I would be okay. I don't think so, no. You got some Italian, the Villaggio della Sorella. The Villaggio della Sorella.
Vin says it to himself every time he wakes up.
But Weaver, you're welcome to make an occult roll as well if you want to.
Yeah, I'll try an occult roll.
The occult roll is not going to translate that, but it might give you some other info. That would need Latin.
Yeah, I don't have Latin. I have Spanish. Wrong game, Jeff.
Yeah, sorry.
90. God, I am rolling in the 90s today.
I mean, you're working your way down. 99, 97, 90. You'll get to pass
You're trending the right way.
Eventually.
Okay. So I'm going to cut then to Inferno. Inferno, you were the first to leave the room. And you kind of came around and like you walk down this hallway. And it essentially takes you to the back of this cathedral, right? Or to the back of the building, so to speak, right? You can know when you get back here, you notice that you can still hear vaguely the sounds of the voice, the sermon, and everything going on. But you do notice that there is a small room with a back door that goes outside. But you also can see a side archway that leads to a set of stairs. These kind of stone etched stairs that seem to be going up. You also notice that there is, 1 second, just making sure I give you the right info. 1 second. You also notice that there is a flight of stairs, that same set of stairs that goes down as well. So like you're on like the ground floor, and there's one flight that goes up, and there's one flight that goes down.
I would take the stairs that go up.
Okay. So you climb up, and it's probably about 2.5 flights, something like that. It's not quite a third story by the time you find another landing, but it's a little bit more than a second story. And you find yourself in the bell tower. And there was sort of nothing along the way other than, these like hanging sconces and such that are giving off a little bit of light. And you can see that you are in the tower. The only thing you can see in here is the bell itself hanging from the ceiling above. And you can still barely hear the sounds of like voices wafting up from below.
I'd like to find the mechanism that rings the bell. Just
Yeah,
give it
there's
some yanks.
There's like the clapper thing underneath, but you don't really actually see a mechanism. It just hangs from this little apex in the ceiling above it. There's a hook, and there's a very heavy chain that connects to it, and it's just hanging above you. You can dip your head underneath it. You can see the clapper that kind of slaps back and forth in the inside of the bell. You see you think the chain continues to come, and if you pull on the chain, so you think if you just pull on the chain a little bit, it'll start weaving it back and forth. You're pretty sure.
Grab onto the chain. Do you see me? Get me out of here. And ring the bell.
So you pull the chain down once and then twice, and no sound emits. You see the bell move. You see the clapper contact the inner sides of the bell itself. But all you hear and feel is the dull thud of it. It doesn't ring out.
What the hell is this? Can I see outside the church in this bell tower?
Yeah, there are these little slits, these windows you saw above it. You look down and you can see you're very high up. And it's a little dizzying, kind of has this vertigo effect. It's not, these windows aren't big enough for you to like climb out of, but there are these narrow slits, almost like arrow slits in a way. And you can see down below, there's the gravel, dirt parking lot. No cars are there. You see the T intersection, and you see your SUV. And you see the same kind of layout of the church that you saw when you're outside, that kind of old quality mission style. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You just walked 100 yards, more than 100 yards from the entrance to the cathedral in the front all the way to the back. And you're not, this mission style church is not 100 yards in its length.
I yanked the chain a couple more times just out of frustration. No sound coming
Just
out.
Dull, empty, nothing, no ringing.
Scurry my way back down.
And I'll say when you scurry back down, we'll say you time it as such as you bump into Carr. And Carr, you see him coming down from this set of stone stairs. You see Inferno. Both of you, frustration probably reading on your faces. What do you guys do?
Agent Carr's place. They say we're at peace here, but how can I be at peace if I see all these people I failed?
I don't. There's just no answers. She just keeps going on and on about mothers, and Anne is here. I watched Anne wither and die, and she's just here and at peace. And Jeremy is I don't understand. I didn't. Anne made a choice. It doesn't make sense to me what happened, but I saw her make a choice. I saw her accept the hug and wither and die. I can't get a straight answer out of anything.
Well, the bell's not making a sound. Another stairs down below and another room at the side.
But we heard a bell outside, though, right?
Yeah, I heard it too.
But there is a bell, but it didn't ring?
Yeah, it's not working for me.
And Carr has no reason to believe she would do anything different with a bell. So if you tried to ring the bell and it didn't ring, then should we try downstairs?
Yeah, we should check it out.
Okay. So the two of you start going down the stairs instead. And as you begin to descend this sort of spiraling stone set of stairs, you start to get some cobwebs and such tangled in your hair and on your clothes. And eventually you find yourselves in this torchlit crypt. Somewhere vaguely beneath the building, you see kind of the walkways extend out into the darkness away from the stair. You hear somewhere in the distance the sounds of like skittering, something moving about. You get the feeling that this is expansive. What do you do? Do you push forward?
Yeah. Just go deeper in the room.
Okay.
Try to find where the noise is.
You realize it's a very maze-like crypt, and you find yourself sort of chasing after the sound, skittering here, skittering there. You see every now and then interspersed there's a torch, but they're very few and far between. So there's these huge passages of darkness, and periodically you hear the sounds of like the skittering turn to laughter. You hear both of you notice that there are skulls and gnawed bones littering on the floor. And at a certain point, the laughter stops. And you finally hear something communicable. You hear, "Come," from somewhere in the dark.
Who's there?
And there's no response.
You heard that, right? And Carr's looking at Inferno.
Yeah, we ain't
Right.
coming anywhere near you.
Who? If we want to know what the hell is going on, clearly that's the way we need to go, right?
You want to know what's going on? I just want to get out of here.
I would like to know how we got here and what exactly this place is trying to...
As you guys are talking here in the midst of this very dark intersection of mazes and passageways, you hear the sounds of a choir singing, a children's choir, very high-pitched, beautiful, cherubic voices. Do either of you have Latin?
I do not.
You have Italian, right? I know it's not the
Yeah, I
same
do.
thing, but I'll tell you what. I'll let you roll Italian at minus, I don't know, minus 10 maybe? What are you at?
I'm at 50.
It's big at minus 20. I think a
Okay.
30% chance is pretty solid.
Yeah, I have languages, but they're more like
Okay.
Middle Eastern languages.
I failed with a
It's not gonna
73.
work. Can't piece it together. Some of the words might sound familiar, but no. What do you two do?
Did everybody else just stay? That's right. You left before me.
Well, they didn't follow you, so...
If we're gonna go, like, digging around here further, should we go grab them?
Can we find our way back? It's
That's a great question.
That was a grin. That was a grin.
I'm going to go, as you all think, you can talk on the side. I'm going to come back to the cathedral. And the three of you, I know I just told them that they hear a choir of children. You don't hear a choir. Like, you don't hear anything like that. At a certain point, though, as she's kind of continued her sermon, and the themes have remained relatively consistent, and at a certain point, it seems clear that she's sort of reached the conclusion, and she eventually kind of looks out and she says, "And I thank each and all of you for being here today. Blessed unto you." And they all kind of look up and smile. And those of you that are scattered about this room, you watch as sort of very quickly, like all at once, you just watch every single person sitting in the pews, just not yourselves though, vanish. Whoosh, just gone. No word, no sound, no scream, just whoosh, gone. And then you see like the monks, it's more like one and the next and then the next, and they start to fade and fade and fade and fade.
Who are you? And Lisa calls this out to the priestess.
And she grins. And then you watch as she just sort of fades. And the last thing you kind of see is the green eyes just sort of stay in place just a little bit longer. And then all of her disappears. And the three of
We
you are
need to
left.
get out of here. Let's
in an
go,
empty
let's go,
room.
let's go. And Chipra is going to run to where she saw Inferno and Cargo.
Okay. And Chopper runs out. Price, Weaver, you just saw everyone disappear before you.
And Weaver's freaking out, but as the sermon was going on, Lisa and Ashley were kind of like going over how all of these people, like how have all of these people brought us together here? And she recalls the gate that we found, and the painting or the picture of the wedding that she had taken to the inkwell and got identified as being the visitation of the blessed woman, and that they worshipped the blessed woman, and that was Lilith. And then the additional references here of Lilith, did the priestess match that imagery at all, or does she look like Sudam's wife at all?
No.
Okay.
No, you don't get any look of that. No. I would have given you that if she did, because you did study that image in the past. No.
Okay.
Vin is very low on sanity. and he is feeling pretty beat down after the last mission. I don't think he would feel the same urgency that Chopra is feeling. He's definitely freaked out because this is very strange. At the same time, he does a lot of drugs these days, and he's had some weird dreams. So I don't think he's fully convinced he's even awake or conscious. He'd want to go to the altar and look for like the notes or a Bible that she was reading. She was shuffling papers. Are they still there?
No, you do not see any papers. You do not see a book. You just see this empty kind of lectern. Nothing at all. It's a beautiful one, though. But she did not leave anything behind.
I have a little bit better occult. Would I recognize these windows?
Yeah, you can roll. Yeah. No one's rushing you.
That is a critical success. That's a 22 under 42.
Okay. So I know you all have been talking about it in the chat. So I will just kind of go through this. The right window, the ones with the threads, those are the fates of Greek myth. The silver thread is basically the thread of a person's life. The left window that has several sets of figures. The three feral female figures that are armed with whips, those are the Furies of Greek myth.
Which we came across Tisiphone? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, that's what my studies show. A second set shows there's three women with serpents in their hair. One was holding a severed head. Those are the Gorgons. And then the third figure was standing alone among these other groups of triumvirates. She's at the crossroads. Her back's to the viewer. She's got her hair that's got a tangle of serpents and oak leaves, and she has 3 dogs on a leash. You would recognize this Agent Price as Hecate, a Greek titan connected with the underworld, the moon, and the night. Goddess of the crossroads.
That one gave me trouble at first, but I got there. I wanted the confirmation, though.
Okay.
Welcome, Raiders.
Yeah. I saw you cheaters in the chat. Hey, Ticking Time Bomb. Thanks for the raid.
Remind us of Lyda in the dream, because she was walking in the rain with 3 dogs.
Why, Ashley?
Sounds like it would remind us of it.
I feel like that. Do you think it reminds Lisa of that? Okay,
Ew.
then. Well, then it reminds Lisa of that.
Oh. I don't think you realize how psychotic I'm feeling right now, going through my notes.
We're getting raided by the Saxons. Saxons and Danes living together.
Saxons and Danes.
I am Bulrich,
Uhtred of Babyberg.
I am Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
I love that show.
I am Pepin Burr. I loved it, dude. I loved it so much. I don't care. It was so much fun. I didn't watch the movie because of you. You told me not to watch it, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah,
You said it wasn't good.
I think the first 3 seasons were the best. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we're up.
After Chopra has been running for a couple minutes now, as I'm looking at windows and looking for papers, I suppose I would start following.
Okay. What about you, Weaver?
Weaver's first going to check the spot where her mom was sitting to see if anything's left behind, and if not, she's going to kind of start looking around like she's going to find her mom in this place. Like, that's kind of her primary focus.
Okay, you're just looking?
Her
Anywhere
mom,
in particular?
Aunt Viv.
Okay.
She's just kind of wandering.
Just like looking under pews and stuff, checking vestibules?
Well,
Or do you...
I mean, she'll get up and she'll start checking like other rooms, because presumably
There
she
are.
can kind of see.
There's really just the one door that leads to the back of the cathedral.
Then that
And
is
there's
the
the other
way
door that goes out
she-
to the front.
I think
Lee.
I think she wouldn't give up on this place just yet.
Deuces. Get on out. Okay. Okay. So do you
she's gonna
follow
head-
Chopra?
She'll follow Chopra.
Okay.
That's really the
So-
only other
So
place to go.
Chopra, and then shortly thereafter, Price, and then Weaver, and Chopra. You'll get the first lead on this. You see a back door, and then you see an archway that leads to a stairwell, a stone stair that goes up and goes down.
Do I see Vin behind me?
Yeah, he'll shuffle up within maybe a minute or so.
Okay.
He lingers to look
If
at
not
the
I
windows.
know that at least one person is seeing me go, then I'm gonna go.
You gonna go up or are you gonna go down?
Fuck it. I'll toss a coin.
Okay. Oh, I got one. I got one right here. I got a coin right here.
Okay, then you toss
Heads or
coin.
tails? Heads or tails?
Heads.
It was tails.
Tails never fails.
I should have
I always
listened
pick
to what
tails too.
you
I agree.
said,
Tails never
Steven.
fails.
Going down?
No, heads was up for me, so we'll do heads.
So tails is down?
Yeah.
Okay. So you start going down.
Go
All right.
up.
Price, do you follow? Weaver, do you follow?
Wait, Chopper, you said you're going down.
No, I'm going up.
You said heads was up for you, and
said
it came
heads
up
was up.
tails.
And
I
it
think
came
all of
with
us are on the
tails.
same page, and my trade's on her own page.
I don't understand the logic, but I heard her say up the final time, and I had to
Yeah.
ask.
I didn't
Chopa's
hear
so
right.
drunk right now. Oh.
I didn't hear right. Heads is up. It landed on tails,
On
so I'll go
tails.
down.
Okay, so go
Right,
down.
so as
Okay.
Chopra is like going up and down, up and down, up and down, Vin will shuffle apparently up and think we're in hell already. Might as well go down another layer and walk
Okay.
down the steps.
All right.
And
Weaver, you
Lisa's
follow.
calling out for her mom, but she's following Vin.
Okay. Similarly to Inferno and Car before you, you all descend a cobweb stairway, get it caught in your hair and your clothes here and there, and eventually you reach a torchlit crypt that seems to extend a significant distance into the dark beneath the building. It is a maze of passageways, and it seems to lead away from the stairs. Do you all descend into the darkness? You don't see Inferno or Car. You generally have no idea. They could have gone outside for as far as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Trooper does. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily looking for them. I'm looking for the answer.
Okay. So the three of you just plunge into the darkness and begin searching the maze that is these crypts. Let's cut back to Inferno and Car. Last we saw you, you heard the cackling kind of turned into the voice that just says, "Come." You saw these skulls and gnawed bones on the floor, lots of darkness around you, small pockets of light here and there, but mostly it's extraordinarily dark. And then you heard the vague voices of children singing in a choir somewhere, Latin, but unable to deduce what the choir or the hymn might be. What do you two want to do?
I'd like to follow the noise of this choir, if it's possible.
Okay. Give me a navigate. You can give me a let's see. Navigate works.
Yeah.
I would take a search, but at -20. Because it's because you really only got the one sense.
I'll do navigate.
Okay.
83. That's a failure.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So the two of you kind of start. Maybe it's partly you're not sure if you're going further in, further out, but you get lost. It's very clear. The two of you get lost. You start trying to follow the sounds of the choir, but you realize very quickly the choir just seems like ever present in some ways. You go into one sort of section, this intersection, this crossroads of crypts and sarcophagi and whatnot, and you hear it at 1 decibel level. You move off to the next, you hear it the same level, and the next the same level. All the while, occasionally you hear or you hear like little skittering. You hear a crunch every now and then as you step on a skull or a bone or some broken like clay pot of some kind, quite old. Get some cobwebs and such, and the two of you move around for a significant period of time. I need both of you. both of you reduce your willpower by 1.
No. Okay.
As you've been wandering, getting tired and frustrated, and not being able to deduce it. Price, Weaver, Chopra. At a certain point, you too start to hear the chittering and the laughter. You hear the sounds of a choir. None of you speak Latin, I don't think. Is that correct?
No, just
Okay.
Spanish.
I have decent occult, so that's like the only Latin I would know.
Are either are any of you, I would say, and this could, I'm gonna open this up to everybody. Is anyone here of you think your characters are of a religious persuasion? Like, do you think you were a devoted Catholic or something like that?
I think Vin grew up Catholic.
I've also
Okay.
You wouldn't have
established
gone
Lisa
for a
grew
while.
up Catholic.
Okay, both of you then go ahead and give me an int times 5. We'll say, yeah, let's do int times 5. That's fine.
46 success.
Okay, how about you, Price?
73 fail.
Weaver, something clicks, and it's something about the choir, and then the Latin phrase that you saw displayed on the window upstairs. You realize that they're kind of sort of the same thing in some ways. The translation of that phrase is the hymn that you now hear, Our Ladies of Sorrow.
Considering that both Lisa and Vin were in the sewers and we heard the creepy like rat people, are there creepy laughter giving that same vibe?
Do you think it's giving that vibe to Lisa?
Ashley feels that.
Well, then that's the vibe that Lisa's getting.
Lisa makes her own vibes.
Okay. She does, tell Chopra and Vin that this is they're singing the hymn Our Ladies of Sorrow.
I'll be honest, I'm not a
And-
Christian. I don't know what that is.
And Vin, remember when I found Ronnie's phone and he was texting Declan, and one of the last texts he sent him was, "Ever heard of the Sorrows?" And in his, oh God, I don't know how this, I don't, and she just kind of trails off as she just follows behind Vin.
Well, I mean, whatever they're singing, if Inferno and Car heard that, they would have followed that. So we should follow that.
What do you? We don't even. Are they even here? And
Well,
then at that
do you
point,
have any
Lisa
other
yells,
ideas?
"Inferno!"
Inferno,
Car?
you hear your name being yelled in the darkness.
Who is it? Who the hell is that?
Weaver, you hear the voice of Inferno yelling out in the darkness.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly where it's coming from, but somewhere nearby.
Just we're coming. Just stay put.
And right after you say that, you hear, "Come." And that doesn't sound like Inferno.
Who? What the fuck was that?
Wait,
Vin
you
is
just
still
keep-
holding his gun, and he would scratch his head with it and then walk into the darkness.
And Lisa's
Keep
got
talking.
her.
Keep talking.
Okay.
I can hear
if you
you.
do that,
Keep
if you
talking.
keep talking,
Yeah,
you'll
just-
eventually
yeah.
track each other. Yeah, that you can do. No problem. Now all 5 of you are together. Now what?
Who the fuck is singing this song? This hymn?
I had to leave. I just, nothing there made sense. And I just,
We need to find our way out. We need to go. everybody vanished, including the priestess. That is an empty church now. We need to go. People just vanish.
There's something going on here. He said he went up to try to ring the bell and it wouldn't ring and it didn't make noise. There's something here.
We need to go.
There's something here. We're here for a reason. We're still. I heard you earlier.
What are we
muttering under your breath?
What are we trying to fix?
We're still activated. There's still something we're supposed to find. Something that we're supposed to be taking care of.
Penance we're supposed to pay.
Penance for what?
Lister, you got your own, I'm sure.
Did someone ask you to come? She sounded like an old hag or crone or something. Did you all hear that too? Because we heard that.
Anne accepted the hug. I didn't accept the hug. We left.
No, just now, a few minutes ago.
It's been asking this entire time we've been down here.
Maybe we need to find where that voice is coming from. Take care of that. Maybe that's the thing we're supposed to do.
Yeah, last time Vin and I followed fucking voices in the sewers and shit, there were these creepy fucking rats and Vin almost died.
But our two options are either to leave or to figure out what's causing all this shit and take care of it. There's no secret third option.
So you guys know, but my dead aunt and my dead mom were here and then they fucking disappeared. So I would love to find my fucking mom and my fucking aunt and then get them back home. Okay?
You said they're dead. They're in the ground. What the fuck are you yelling for?
Yeah, but they're here, so maybe they're not dead.
You saw them?
Yeah, they were Did you not see who I was sitting next to? That was my mom.
We saw Ronnie, too. Hate to break it to you, Weaver, but they're dead.
Are we dead? Is that why we're
time
here?
for that?
I don't think we're
is
dead.
that the big joke? Because we died in our sleep and now we're fucking here?
But everybody else vanished. I don't think we're dead.
Well, I don't know.
We'll stay together.
Well, someone lead the way because we've been lost down here for a bit.
Car's listening again because we've been yelling at each other.
From.
Okay. And you hear if you quiet for a moment, you hear as the shouting ends, there's some echoing, but then there's a calm. You hear the cackling, and then the whisper. Come. Car. If you're carefully paying attention, give me a search.
Okay, 14 under 54.
You see down a very long corridor of darkness, there is a flame. And you've seen some torches here and there, inexplicably. Who the hell knows who's tending to them? But this looks much larger. It doesn't look like the small flame of a torch. It's the first time you've seen anything of difference thus far.
Well, if we're looking for something to follow, there's a flame down that way, different from these. We're going?
Let's go.
Was it the same color as the flames we saw in the desert?
They just look like normal torches.
Normal,
orange and yellow and red.
I'm like, don't keep fucking with me, Jeff.
Ashley's making all the connections.
You voluntarily agreed to play Delta Green.
Her gun.
Okay.
While we get there.
Okay. So you've got a gun. Price, you've got a gun. Sure. If you follow Car, you eventually find yourself in this intersection of passageways, and you can see that there is a bonfire. And sitting or crouched really, next to it, is a naked, ancient hag woman. And you can see hanging from the ceiling are these vines that are festooned with skulls and bones. And she just looks up at all of you, her face, this hideous tangle of old skin, and her teeth, some marred out by grime, others missing, a few visible and almost white. And she just looks up at you all with a grin. You can see all of you, because you all have very good alertness, this color of green in her eyes. And then she just looks at you like staring up, her head tilted, still squatting by the fire.
You're the
Could I roll
priestess.
my alertness for more detail?
No roll necessary. I gave you what you would get in the moment,
But
just
could I
because of
roll
how
it?
high it is. Yes, you can roll it. If you critically fail, though, something bad will happen.
That's a success with an 81.
Okay. Chopra, you said something. What is it you said?
I said, you're the priestess.
And she looks up with a grin, and you can see her eyes squint. Among others. Chopra, roll a d6, please. I mean, actually, I could do it if you want, but guess I
I
could.
didn't have my thing open. Sorry.
It's
Give me
fine.
just 1 second. That is a 6.
Okay. You feel a wave of tiredness and exhaustion that like you've been anxious and stressed and holding it in, and suddenly your body can no longer keep it at bay, and you just feel it all descend. The rest of you watch as Chopra becomes partially translucent in front of you.
I'd reach out and try to grab her.
You grab her. There's a weird delay in doing so, but you can.
Just pull her back and see if that does
What?
anything.
And she
When
still
I look
seems...
down, am I translucent to
Yeah,
myself?
you hold your hand up. It's like the scene from Back to the Future. You put your hand up and you just kind of see through it a little bit.
What the hell's happening? What is happening?
And you hear her cackle, and she says, "You are asking questions. You can only stay here so long." Roll a d6, Chopra.
Another one.
Oh, 1 this time.
Okay. You still feel a little surge of tiredness, but nonetheless, those of you around her can see her just very slightly grow even more transparent.
I think Chopra falls to her knees at this point as well. Again, just involuntarily.
You feeling alright,
What are you
Chopra?
No, something's happening. Something's happening to me. I don't know what.
What have you done to her?
I've answered her questions. Roll a d6, Inferno.
Oh,
Also a 6.
oh Jesus.
You see Inferno collapse to the ground, nearly invisible. Give me a con test, Inferno.
A 53 pass.
Okay, you stay conscious, and you feel this, like you've been hit by a truck of exhaustion. Like you've been carrying years and years in years of stress, anxiety, fear, pain, and your body has just given up on trying to deal with it, and you just let it all in, and your body just collapses out of nowhere, like as that little brief moment of anger that you showed about Chopra, but you stay conscious. However, you can see almost fully through your hand as you hold it up to your face. You can see your fellow agents around you, as you, like Chopra, are mostly transparent at this point.
Hey, I ain't asking any questions. Fix them right now. Whatever this is, flip it back.
No.
And you can see that Carr was about, like, she had a question in mind, and then she saw what happened to Topher, and she saw what happened to Inferno, and so she's just sort of like assessing her options a bit.
Do I
And
feel like opaque? Like, am I still holding the gun? Or
Yeah, you
did
can still
that
hold
fall?
stuff. It's just everything's like you just look translucent, and you're exhausted. Like you are. I mean, like
Right.
you're very, very tired.
Okay.
Are there any other doors nearby, or is this a dead end?
Oh no, this is like basically an intersection of several passages that have come to meet at this bonfire.
Like 3
Does-
passages.
Does it match any of
More than
the glass windows that we had witnessed?
No, this
Okay.
is a dark, gross, cobwebbed crypt. That is not what you saw in the beauty of those windows.
Carr is going to reach sort of towards this. She's not putting her in the bonfire, but towards the bonfire. Like, is there heat coming off the bonfire? Does that seem to be?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's this is fire. It's warm. You feel it.
She's going to do the dumb thing. What is the meaning of this place?
This is where the dead have been interned. Have you never been in a crypt before?
Roll D6, Car.
Yeah. 1.
Okay. You almost imperceptibly. It's not too much for you, but you do start to go slightly transparent. She's just like stoking the fire a little bit, laughing.
Give
You can tell.
Master a chance to do something. If not, I'm going to I am going to start firing or trying to fire. If
Okay.
Ash doesn't have anything,
You're gonna try and what?
I'm gonna fire.
Oh shit.
Weaver, what do you want to do?
I feel like she's killing me. Like, that's how Chopa's feeling. She's like, I'm gonna die.
I feel like Lisa's still looking more for her mom. This is not her mom, so she's gonna pick a pathway and start going.
Okay.
Chopa
You pick a
fires.
pathway. And you go. You do not. You hold the gun up.
Okay.
And before
God
you're even
damn
able
it.
to squeeze the trigger,
Fucking
all
knew
of you
it.
see her vanish in front of your eyes, just like everybody else up in the chapel or the cathedral. And she is gone. All of you who are there, Weaver, you don't have to do this. The rest of you can roll sand.
Oh, 96 over 42.
Pass with
Oh.
10.
Hey, look at you, buddy. Okay.
10
Make it
out
in
of
there.
14. Holy crap, Long.
That is amazing. How'd you
Wow.
do, Car? How'd you do, Price?
Failed.
I failed.
Both
and
of
I'm gonna
you.
hit a breaking point.
You can you can push stuff off. Sorry, that's a bad roll. There we go. 4 for Car, 1 for Price.
Is it under the breaking point or at the breaking point?
It's at. Meets it, destroys your life sit.
I am at remember earlier. I'm at my big breaking point.
Just remember it. Just
You don't
remember
have to
your breaking
roll.
point. Just like Impossible Landscapes and stuff, remember there were moments where you guys hit breaking points, but we didn't play them. We played them later. This is one of those
Okay.
situations.
Got it.
I don't think I can push it off. I've got 3 willpower, so it would probably put me unconscious if I did. So I'm at my breaking point.
How are you down to 3 willpower if we were full at the
I
beginning
only
of the
have-
session?
6, and I
'Cause he's an
pushed
old
off
man.
and rolled a 3. Not an old man. You ruined my character. You took away my POW. You don't blame me for this.
I'm sorry. You know what? We'll just end Delta Green. I apologize, Steve. We're going to end Delta Green.
No,
Okay.
no. Okay, so then I would need to spend 4 willpower to try to push off.
You need to roll a d4. You don't get to
Okay.
automatically spend. You have to roll. It's random. Hope you roll a 4. So roll a d4. Start there.
Roll the 4.
Okay, perfect. So you can push that all off on one of your bonds, but
Okay.
you also have to
Just
spend that amount of
And
willpower.
4. Okay. So, oh gosh. I mean, I feel like Mom makes the most sense, so that's down to a 2 for that bond.
Okay. Did you reduce your willpower?
I did. Yeah, I'm down to
Okay.
5.
Price, Inferno. You see, well, actually, Inferno, you don't take any. This is a weird situation. We haven't had one of these in a year and a half. But Inferno, the only one not to take sand damage, keeps together. You look and you see both Carr and Price, like they kind of look in horror at like what's happening, and you see Price, because you see Price like begin to fade, just like you saw Chopra, just like you've seen Carr and yourself. And you see like the 3 of you now at the bonfire now are this transparent, different degrees of it, and you're like on the ground, Inferno, kind of tired as you took a big hit. The 3 of you are just here on the ground.
Please, whoever you are, we don't belong here.
And she says,
Why do you say that? Who are you to say where you belong?
There's others waiting for us.
and she just kind of peers at you, and she says,
Are there?
and her eyes kind of flare a brighter green, and you just feel her kind of like boring into your soul and your memory, and just like all of these moments, Inferno, just start flashing in your mind of your partner dying when you were supposed to be watching their back, your fellow Delta Green agents dying when you're supposed to be watching their back, your brother getting tangled up because Vin comes and fights him, your parents struggling now with trying to keep this pizzeria afloat, this family restaurant afloat, because you laundered money through them. Maybe it dawns on you, don't remember the last time you had a phone call with them. It's been so long, who knows? This place has messed with your memory. But this rapid fire of all of these friendships and families and partnerships that have been fractured one way or the other because of you. And then her grin is wide. But then the grin fades, and you see there's a look of pity on her face. And then she just sort of like, shh,
It's okay.
what are the 3 of you doing?
He's right. We're not supposed to be here yet. We do still have people that are waiting for us. People come here if they choose to. We haven't chosen to yet.
You fools. You come here thinking you know everything. You tell me.
Because when we ask you questions, we start to disappear.
You've yet to ask me a good question. Knowledge is power. Knowledge knowledge is draining. Fools. Arrogant fools. With your trinkets, your toys. You come here and tell me that you are not supposed to be here. I decide if you are to be here. And you would not be here if I did not want you to be.
Why do you want us here?
Wasting our time.
And she
Why
just
do you
looks
want
at
us
you
here?
all with like disappointment.
Because you have hurt us.
Go ahead and roll a d6, Car.
Yeah, I thought that was a better question.
It is a good question.
5.
One big numbers on these 6.
I rolled a 1 last time.
You all watch as Car disappears in front of you. Inferno and Price
Shit.
disappears.
Mm. All right, you
Inferno.
guys ask good questions.
Price.
You're the ladies of sorrow. What's the source of your sorrow?
You could see
Or do
that
you
kind of
give the
catches her.
sorrow?
Say that again. You
Or
get
do
kind of
you-
quiet sometimes, Stevens, and I can't really hear you.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Or do you give the sorrow?
We are sorrow.
Go ahead and roll a d6, Steven.
Ah,
6.
And Price disappears, leaving just Inferno standing here
why
in
do
the
you have so many high rolls?
passageway, staring at this woman. And she looks at you and she shows you great pity. She really does. You can see like her face, like just looking at you. You get the sense, Inferno, that every memory that you just flashed through your brain, she saw it all too. You get that sense. Do you do anything?
No.
Okay.
Inferno's just gonna staring contest her.
Okay. So she looks at you and she just watches and she shakes her head. And then she holds up a hand. And then Inferno disappears. Weaver wandered off by herself. Weaver, you've been wandering the passageways. You're looking for your mother and your aunt?
She's kind of, she's looking for them. She feels this sense of she's always been a fuck up her whole life. Lisa's never really done anything great. She's never completed anything to the extent that she feels that she really needs to. And so she just has this feeling of, I can't fuck this up. And so she's not really sure what exactly she's looking for, but she knows that she can't fuck this up and she needs to find it. Whether it's her mom, her aunt, Frank, or something here that the Sorrows want her to find, but she feels like she has to find something.
Okay. So, Weaver, you're running, hustling, walking fast, turning this way, turning that way. You hear a skittering here, follow it. You hear laughter there, follow it. Hear the sounds of the choir, follow it. You, for a while, are in this darkness all by yourself. You don't hear the sounds of anybody. And all you see is torchlight every now and then otherwise just these long stretches of darkness. And then you finally see at the far end of this passageway a different kind of light. You see this bright white frame that you realize is like a doorway. And you can see the light, this white light is right along the bottom and the sides of the door and the tops of the door, all kind of framing it in the wall up ahead, this passageway up ahead. What do you do?
She's gonna go towards it, through it.
You race down the hall. You reach your hand out and you see there's like this handle to turn and push. And right as you reach your hand down, you watch your hand go transparent and just go right through the handle, and your arm, then your shoulder, and your other hand, and then whoosh. We cut. Chopra. Chopra, where do we find you? Just describe where, like, it's been months since Operation Windblown. And you've spent days and weeks recovering from your injury, training with SIGINT, training with firearms. What does it look like when we see Chopra's eyes open? Where is she?
Before all this happened?
No. Just where do we see her? Where is she? Describe where we find her as she opens her eyes.
Okay,
Smoothie
sorry,
king.
my turn needs a second. Okay. Chopra is waking up as Davy, in sort of like kind of curl up, I guess, with Liam in probably in her bed because she makes way more money than him, and so they've been spending the night together, and she is waking up. And did all this just happen? Like,
you have full memory of everything that just transpired. Did you wake up? Is it nighttime? Is it daytime? Is it morning?
oh, it's probably nighttime because she bolts upright then.
You
And
bolt upright,
it's like-
and you notice.
And I think Liam kind of stirs.
Yeah. You notice as you look around, like, everything looks familiar. This is the room. You slept here the night before and the night before that, and all of that. Okay, there's the window, there's the nightstand, the lamp, and a little sweat maybe, and he rolls over and he kind of looks at you. You all right? Go back to bed.
I just need to get some water. I'll be right back. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Okay. So we see Chopra get up and wander out of her bedroom to a kitchen to get some water. Car. Where do we find you? Where do your eyes open?
I would say that Carr is in her office, so in her FBI office. I would say that she is in, sort of like a conference room. And so there's all kinds of papers spread out all over, and you've got the whiteboard, and, she's been writing a bunch of things on there. And she has just been working around the clock because she's trying to put together a profile. And so there's kind of all of these murders that have happened, and she's trying to put together a profile. And so she's got notes everywhere, and she's got kind of all of this stuff. And she just misses so much work that when she is kind of on a case, she really has to kind of put in the hours to keep this FBI job. So she's kind of like only one in the building kind of a thing. And she probably like the lights are motion sense. So like if she slept, like the lights had kind of gone off because she hadn't moved in a bit.
And they start to flicker on as you move up maybe too quickly for a second. All of that experience is there. Every bit of it. Your team that you haven't been on a mission on. You quickly check your watch or the clock or the calendar. It's been months. That was summertime. It's winter. And it's been months. You haven't talked to them, seen that's standard operating procedure. There's no reason to talk to them unless activation. And you saw all of them. You saw all of them disappear. You saw yourself disappear. You saw Weaver run away. You saw the cathedral. All of this is there in your mind. It's the first thing you do.
First thing she does is checks her hands, like checks for kind of because she had just suddenly disappeared. So she's checking her hands, kind of touching them together that she's not, she's a solid being.
And you touch your hands and they are solid. We cut. Price. Where do we see your eyes open?
We're going to go a bit more depressing. Price is in his car. It's a beat up sedan, and it's parked outside his local VFW. We're going to say he fell asleep about 2 hours ago to sleep it off, and he wakes up still a bit drunk.
Okay. You come to. Where are you? Are you Florida? Are you
Virginia.
Arizona? Virginia. It is December-ish. Probably ice, but not snow. Like if it's it nighttime? So we see some ice maybe starting to form here and there.
Yeah,
it's cold.
Be
but
like just barely starting to get light out.
Yeah. So super early in the morning, the morning frost is like covering your windshield. You hear the sounds of vague traffic that are starting to come into the peripheral of your hearing, and like your head probably sways back and forth, but fighting with that hangover, those memories, every single one, the green eyes, the team, the cathedral, Declan G.W. Ellis, all of that is clear as day. Your conversation with Ronnie. What's the first thing you do?
Look for my gun wherever I put it. Because I remember I was holding it when I was unconscious, and then I'm looking for it again. I find it in probably the center console.
You reach down and you pick it up. Let me cut. Inferno. Where do your eyes open up?
The afternoon sun beams through my straw hat as I awake on a boat on Venice with my brother.
Venice, Florida? Venice, Italy.
Italy.
Oh boy.
Motherland.
Okay.
I traveled there. My mother missed home. We're spending some time here.
Okay. And maybe you dozed off in the sun. You see is that kind of the idea? Maybe. You see your brother off by the water, kind of looking out on the horizon. Doesn't really seem to be paying attention to you. Seems fine. All of those memories, all of that experience, still there, still clear. The last one with this woman face to face. What's the first thing you do?
Call out to my brother. Is mom okay?
Looks back. Yeah. Wakey, wakey. He says in like his Jersey Italian.
How long have I been out?
Like an hour.
And I'll say my thoughts.
Okay. We cut from there. Weaver, where do we see your eyes open?
Weaver wakes up and she's in this shitty motel in Brooklyn, near where she previously thought the inkwell to be. And she's sitting awkwardly on her bed, and she's got like a crick in her neck from how she fell asleep. And she's got just notes upon notes of all of our prior missions and things in front of her. And the first thing she does is she scrambles for the phone that she found in Frank Ryder's, the burner, and she attempts to text the number that she had for Declan.
Okay. You scrambles and like reach into the back of your, where all these boxes or bags are. You start going through them and you send a text.
And she says, You didn't belong there, but where is there? Where were we?
And then you hear a phone suddenly ring, maybe vibrate. Price, same with you. Center console is the gun, but then you could see maybe just underneath the dash or even on the dash, you hear, you see your phone begin to move and shift. Chopra, as we see you in the kitchen, drinking a glass of water, maybe on the countertop near the kitchen on its charger, we hear as your phone goes off. Car. We can see you in your office or conference room. You can see on one of these work tables, it starts to vibrate. And even Inferno, maybe in some baggy board shorts that you're wearing, you hear or feel. What do you all do?
Pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Car's scrambling under pieces of paper to find the phone, throwing stuff around, grabs the phone.
Okay. Chopra, Inferno.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
Okay. It's it looks like it's a U.S. number, Inferno. You can see like it's someone calling. It doesn't look like Jersey, but maybe you're close enough. Probably a Pennsylvania number, you think? Taking a look at it. Do you all answer? Do you answer, Inferno? I know the rest of them do, but do you?
Yeah, I'll give an answer.
All of you get the same conversation, unbeknownst to each other. You hear a woman's voice. And she says, hi, this is Dr. Katrina Hawley. I'm an emergency room doctor over at Seven Saints Hospital in Norfolk, Pennsylvania. Is this... And then she mentions all your names, and it's your real names. And each one of, like, she just basically asks for verification. Maybe you give it, maybe you don't. So anyway, hi, thank you. So yeah, like I said, I'm Dr. Hawley. I don't, this is a difficult thing to say, so I'm just going to say it. I just want you to know, I'm just calling to inform you that Quentin Thompson nearly died. He is in stable condition, but he's critical. You were listed as his emergency contact. He took an overdose of sleeping pills about 2 nights ago. A neighbor heard his dog barking, called the police, thankfully. And when the police arrived, they found him. He was unresponsive, but they got him here. Anyhow, he could really use a friend right now. He doesn't seem to have any surviving family. Would you mind coming down to the hospital?
I'm
How soon?
sorry.
Or Inferno, what'd you say?
How soon?
As soon as possible.
What hospital is this again?
Seven Saints Hospital in Norfolk, Pennsylvania.
And you said Quentin Thompson?
Quentin Thomas, yeah.
Quentin Thomas.
And he's like, you're, okay, and she repeats your name.
Uh-huh.
Correct? Yeah, you were listed as his emergency contact.
Okay.
I could be there in about 4 hours.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure it's going to mean a lot to him.
Turns on the car.
So this is my teory's lack of knowledge of American geography. If I was to leave in the morning, could I reasonably get to Pennsylvania from Massachusetts like in a couple hours?
Not a couple hours, but you could get there depending on traffic and how bad the winter is. Like you could get there within a day, probably.
Okay.
You said you're in Massachusetts? Why did I think you were in DC?
I don't
I thought you were in DC.
No.
I can't remember.
I did say our FBI field office was in DC because I had no idea how far away that was from Arizona.
Yeah, it depending on traffic and winter conditions, you could probably get there within a day.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell her like, I'm sorry. Did he have a badge on him or anything when he came in?
Badge? No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, I'll be there as soon as I can.
Thank you so much. I'm sure he's going to greatly appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
And Carr would say, yes, ma'am, I'm going to need to hop on a plane. So I will find the soonest flight out.
That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That I'm sure it'll mean the world to him.
Is he available to talk now or?
No, I'm afraid he hasn't regained consciousness just yet.
Okay. I'll have to get a flight. I'm in Boston, but
I understand. Thank you.
I'll be there.
Oh, that's very kind of you. I'm sure that it will mean the world to him. Thank you.
So sorry, Jeff. This may already been mentioned, and there's just like a bunch of things going on. But like, did she mention what has caused him to be in critical condition?
Yeah, overdose of sleeping pills 2 nights ago.
Thank you. Thank you.
Inferno. What do you say? You're the furthest away.
Might be a day. We're overseas right now.
I understand. Yeah. It's an emergency. We're not sure if he's going to wake up. If he could use a friend.
Be there as soon as I can.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. I'm sure that's going to mean the world to him. And as each of you hang up, one after the other, we see Price starting his car. We see Weaver and Carr checking flights. Inferno having a awkward conversation with his family. We see maybe Chopra like pulling up a laptop to maybe figure out her route. We're going to go ahead and close down the episode there for tonight. And we'll pick up there next time around.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap.
Okay.
You said Seven Saints Hospital in Pennsylvania?
In Norfolk, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Good gosh.
So
it's not.
Carr and Dante are the only ones that are actually far away. The rest of us are all within a couple hours.
You're all pretty close. Yeah, depending on conditions, the bottom row can get there pretty quick. Yeah. It all just depends on like it's wintertime, northeast, etc.
Yeah.
So roads can be a pain in the ass. Okay, cool. So
great session.
Wow.
All right.
We got like 10 more to go. We're starting a new mission.
Yeah, no, I'm with Steven on the denial. Like I'm in that camp.
I'm sorry. I've been getting private messages from Long and Melissa and Ashley that they would like this to end. And
I don't care what they want. I care what I want.
3-2.
We're gonna keep going. Damn it!
I believe that, Steven. I believe that.
Okay. I think there is a 9. No, maybe that's a little high. I think there's a 80% chance next session is the final session. I'm gonna say.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
80%.
I'll believe it.
My heart.
I know.
I flexed it out.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be like, I don't know, like I think it's what, 32 episodes maybe? This is 31, I think.
32.
I think this is 31.
Yep.
It's pretty good. We should check out.
Are
Impossible
we
Landscapes.
like on par with Call of Cthulhu? Because that is
Call of
like
Cthulhu is
30
ahead.
something.
Call of
Oh,
Cthulhu is
is
ahead
it
now.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
it's ahead.
Yeah.
Well, we play it every week. We play Internalized basically every
that's
week.
true.
Yeah, by like
And
2,
Delta Green,
I think.
We've had this, like I said this a couple weeks ago, Delta Green is our longest calendar game. Like it's been going on
Right.
longer than any other game.
Right,
Quarter
right.
Color. We started it July of last year. So we've been playing it for almost a year and a half. And
You've
then
been
we've
trying to stop it for almost a year and a half now, and I'm not going to let you. I'm going to keep dragging you.
Brooklyn almost shattered me. It shattered my confidence, shattered my interest, shattered. Yeah, that was a rough chapter. But I enjoyed. I enjoyed North Carolina. North Carolina was a lot of fun, like Silo and then Wilmington. I enjoyed that arc a lot.
Yeah.
And then I was really excited
Arizona, like
for the Arizona
all
one.
of the
Arizona
like
was
the sighing desert and just all that stuff has been like
City
so cool.
of Gloom. Yeah,
Needed more.
I was really
storage
excited for
units
the
is the one
Arizona
thing
one.
I would say. Like, if we could have gone to more storage units, like at least one a session.
I think it's
Did
a
you
good
guys
thing
ever
we didn't
go?
have-
I don't think you guys ever went to the one out in Silo, did you? Weren't you given?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we
I don't
didn't.
think you guys
Because
ever
at the
did.
very end, we were like, "Oh, we
That's a
don't
shame.
have guns," because we never went to the green box.
That's a shame. That's right. I remember. Yeah. So, but yeah, and then otherwise, there was the one in. You guys went to one in Hypoluxo because you went to one of Ronnie's. In
Yep.
Brooklyn.
Yep.
You
Went to the
definitely
shit
went
out of
one
that
in Brooklyn. Probably went to that a few times too many.
Way too
Silo, you didn't
many.
go to one. There wasn't really one in Wilmington you could go to, but he did have one, but not in Wilmington. And then so there wasn't one in North Carolina. Like you didn't go to anything in North Carolina, even though there were. And then you did go to one unbeknownst to yourselves. It was definitely a green box. A few of you went anyway. So we'll see.
I grabbed an
See where
M60 out of there.
You still have it with you?
Absolutely,
your
it's in
car.
the trunk.
It's in the trunk. Trunk's
Across
frozen
state lines
shut. You
with
can't
it.
get it. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, it's frozen shut. Damn it. Winter buns. All right. Well, that is it for us. Let's go ahead and do some closing plugs and we'll get on out of here. Steven, my good friend, my good buddy, my good pal, shut the hell up. And my Trey, tell us about what you do on the internet.
See how I won't believe that joke if we stop. So that's one more reason we should.
Oh, I'm still doing it with the next game. Don't worry.
I know, but I'm hearing it twice a week now, twice every other week. Man, I'm committed to hearing it that often. But I might play games on YouTube where I make system agnostic or multi-system developed content that centers the team and player experience.
Fantastic. Links in the chat, links in the show notes, all that good stuff. You can find everyone's awesome content. All right, Steven, what you got going on, man?
Yeah, I rebuke everything system agnostic. There is one system for me, and it is called Huckleberry. It's a Weird West game. If you want to play spooky cowboys, that's the way to do it. It's a lot of fun. It's a very simple game to play. It's very cinematic, very spooky. I already said that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And if you want to watch it be played, Adventures of Lollygagging, they played 4 sessions of it. You can go to huckleberryrpg.com for more information. It's got a link to the video. It's got a link to the actual book where you can buy it on DriveThruRPG. And you can get free digital assets that can be used for any game, not just Huckleberry, that are pretty useful.
Fantastic. Now, you said it's your only system, so I guess that means that's it. That was it for Delta Green. We're all done. Because
you're running
Steven only
Huckleberry
wants to
again.
play
No more
one
games
system.
ever.
I'll do it. You want me to run some Huckleberry? I'll run some Huckleberry.
System specific, Steven.
I asked Steven if I could run more Huckleberry, and he said specifically no. So I was like, well, that's a little odd. A little strange, but okay.
Buddy, I don't remember that. This
I
must
said
be some more of that.
we were talking about. I was
famous
talking about
Jeff gaslighting.
I was talking about, hey, we're gonna probably, I think we're winding down Delta Green pretty soon. I might play a different game, and you're like, I don't really want to quit it. I'm like, okay, what if I run some Huckleberry? And you're like, I still don't want you to quit it. So you don't remember that? Do I?
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
remember that?
I would keep going with deltagreen over Huckleberry. That's fair. I'll admit it.
All right. Anyhow, as for the rest of us, as was already mentioned, we got Call of Cthulhu tomorrow, where people are, whoo boy, yeah. Just go. Bangkok has been rough, and
It's
so
been
we'll
a bang.
see. But not a cock.
So
No,
No,
no flirting this time.
None.
so bad, so fast.
I got so sick and tired of flirting. I was like, no,
No
all of them are going to
flirting
try to
for
kill
you.
you. Everyone's going to cut you with a machete. That's how it is. Just carry them around. It's crazy. People don't wear pants, but they carry machetes. All right. So yeah, Survivor's Call of Cthulhu, continuing to internalize. Monday, we've got some Other Escape. Where we're where some people are dressed like fish people or whatever. It's fun. It's a weird mythos cyberpunk role playing game. Tuesday, Steven's going to hop into the seat again. Run us through some Star Trek Adventures. Next Thursday, we should be finishing up Arzium, as we didn't play it last night. And then next Friday, we got more Dragonbane. In 2 weeks, we'll be back with Deltagreen again, with possibly the finale, likely the finale, maybe the finale. I'll see how high my voice can go. That's about it. Let's go ahead and raid our buddies over at Defenders of Cobalt. They're playing some Pathfinder, I think. So we're going to start that raid. Follow that raid. Thank you to Ticking Time Bomb Gaming for the raid earlier. Make sure you all go follow them as well. We'll see you all later. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.